Many families don't see the importance of attending Mass every Sunday. How do we pull them in? Make them feel welcome and keep them coming back. I'm your host, Edward Herrera, and we're talking about creative ways to get more minivans to Mass. So I am here with Amy Buttarazzi from St. Joe's in Cockeysville. She is the
Director of Family Ministry.
Director of Family Ministry there. A lot of conversations with Amy about things that you've been doing there and just some of the, just amazing work that you've really tried to do to cultivate family ministry there, but then also a deeper sense of community, which has been just awesome to see some of those changes. And I was out at the parish, I think it was about a year ago now, and I saw some of what you all were doing with Children's Liturgy of the Word, or as it's affectionately referred to as CLO, right?
Yes. Not Clow.
CLO.
Yes.
And so I wanted to talk to you about it because I was really impressed with the energy and the positivity and just the excitement that both you guys had about it. It seemed like it was really a team effort on your staff, but then also the families, the kids, everyone was just pumped up about it. And can you maybe just share a little bit of what you all were doing with it?
Sure. So what we realized was that Vacation Bible School had so much positive energy and kids were coming back every day, couldn't wait to get back, didn't want the week to end. So we were thinking, how do we capture that energy and bring it on Sunday morning?
Yeah.
And so that's where we came up with CLO Extreme, the whole idea. And it was bringing in the music, the videos, the dancing, the props, the skits, and as much as we could to make CLO exciting and engaging for the students. Something more of like what they're used to at school with all the different learning styles. So we took the lesson and we focused on the gospel, and we have the kids come into our gym basically, and when they come in, it's almost like it feels like Vacation Bible School. Our stage is set with a fun a stage set for the season, and then a music video is going. That's whatever Christian music video that we have for a season, and so they get to know praise and worship music that they might not know before. And then we introduce the theme of the gospel. We focus on that one theme, so they go away with one message when they leave, and then we enter into a video clip of whatever the gospel is. So a lot of times it's a cartoon that we found on YouTube. There are a couple of different people who publish things each week that are go-to videos that we use.
Yeah.
And so they see the gospel in a cartoon, and then we have them stand up, and then they listen to the gospel from a children's lectionary, so that they're listening, but they already know what's going to happen, so they can really take in the message. And we use all of the things like how to, cross yourself before the gospel, so they're still learning those key liturgical parts that are so important to our liturgy. And then after that, they get a homily that is directed towards their age appropriate. And so we have all sorts of props, whether it's like a big earth inflatable or a fake fire, or costumes where the kids are dressing up to reenact the Jesus story. Anything physical that can show the story to get them involved is then how we teach the lesson. And then they stand up and we do something called our children's creed. So instead of having them read it off, a lot of them are too young to know the whole thing. So we focus on 4 questions, and we say, do you believe in God, the Father Almighty, creator of heaven and earth? And we call it a fist pump. And they say, yes, I do believe. And then we say, do you believe in Jesus Christ, his only son, who loves you very much? And they answer, yes, I do believe. And then we do the same thing for the Holy Spirit, the Catholic Church. And now we just added the communion of saints. So they really understand there's 5 big things that you're saying you believe, and we are excited about it. So there's 2 things that go on for that creed that make it different, so that they can really understand what they're saying when they say the creed, and that it's something positive and something really to be excited about.
Right.
So then we go into petitions like usual. They all offer their own petitions, to which we say, Lord, hear our prayer, which is the usual liturgy. So they're still familiar with those things. And then if we have time, we end in another music video.
Nice.
So we're finding what we did is we started with our main family mass. So the 9:00 was a real hot time for us. So we started this CLO Extreme at the 9, and then we started at the 10:30, and our numbers just exploded.
Really?
It was, we went from like 4 or 5 kids. Now on Sunday mornings, it's 50 to 60 at our hot, like during Faith Formation year. the kids are coming back. And
Wow.
the parents are so thankful because they can focus on Mass during that
Yeah.
time, and the kids are really grasping what they're learning, that we're teaching. So that's exciting. So this year it's been pretty cool because we took it into our 4 o'clock on Saturday, and the numbers just went up immediately.
So you guys are doing it on
Saturday as
Saturdays
well.
too.
Yep.
Okay.
So which is
Okay.
really exciting.
Yeah. So in terms of give people a sense, how long is it usually? Like how much of the liturgy are they stepping out of?
hmm
And then like so how much time do you usually have to allocate for that?
20 minutes.
20
So
minutes.
they're sitting with their family, for the very beginning. So they're there for the Gloria and the introductory prayer, and then as soon as the congregation sits down, the priest comes forward, invites all the children forward. He blesses them, and then we walk out to
Gotcha.
the clo room.
Gotcha.
hmm
And then they come back for the liturgy of the Eucharist at
You
that
got
point.
it. Yes.
Gotcha.
Uh-huh.
Gotcha. Okay. And so the other thing I'd ask is what sort of ages are you trying to hit when
Great
you're
question.
looking at that? Where do you feel like, okay, no, they can get what the priest is talking about versus, I mean, sometimes we all have a problem getting what the priest is talking about, but no, we have great homilists, right?
Right.
At what point are we trying to kind of encourage them
Great
to be
question.
present at the full mass?
Great question. And that's something we still grapple with that.
Right, right.
Because we don't want to be unwelcoming by saying, okay, we'd like all the children between 4 and 6, and we're going to card you at the altar, because we don't
Yeah,
want to, we didn't want to be like that. We want to be
yeah,
welcoming. So we kind of let parents decide. So there
yeah.
are some parents that will come with their little ones. And then the
Okay,
exciting thing is right about, it kind of happens naturally around 3 or 4. Once they get to know our leaders, they'll come up, grab the hand of the leader, the little guys, and they'll walk over. So 3 or 4 is probably where it starts, as
okay.
they're getting comfortable. And then we go to about second or third grade. Usually around second grade, they naturally are ready to stay at the Mass. Some
Right.
parents choose, because now that they're of age to receive communion and they
Yeah,
know the Mass better, they choose to keep them, but we won't turn them away, because sometimes they
gotcha.
just get more out of it,
Right,
and we
right.
don't want to turn them away. So we leave it up to parents and
Yeah.
just welcome everyone.
No, and I think that's a generally a good kind of principle to encourage the
Right.
parents to discern where their kids are at with their kids and
Exactly.
stuff like that, so
Every
that
kid's different. And so
every kid's
some of them
different.
love it and want to come. A lot of the older kids are the ones we pull to do the leadership roles. So for one child, he's our tech guy. So he comes and he helps and he pulls things up, the music up, and he's in 4th grade, and he's usually a handful for the parents. But
Yeah,
when he's at Clo, he's on task, he's involved, he's engaged, and he's awesome. And so
yeah,
if in that situation, we welcome him.
yeah.
And so we've tried to get the older students in the acting roles, or helping out with the
Okay,
ministry roles.
okay. I'll have to
God
cut
bless
that
you.
out. Thank you. So I guess the other question would be, have you ever received any kind of pushback in terms of no, the kids should be in mass, or like how have you kind of worked through that? At least trying to think through what's the best way that we can engage parents, engage kids during during the mass, and have you kind of faced any of that or kind of challenges from other families or
Right.
anything like that in ways that you've tried to address it? Does that make sense?
No, sure, that makes sense. I think because it's an optional program and we leave it open to the parents' discretion, they can decide.
Yeah.
So a lot of times there might be students who'd rather not leave their parents during the Mass, and they stay back, which
Yeah.
is completely fine. And so it's really up to the parents what works for them. So we haven't seen a lot of pushback. Most of the time, it's parents encouraging their students to go, and then naturally, as they get older, they realize, I'm getting too old for this. I don't enjoy this anymore, and so they
Gotcha.
end up staying back naturally. But
Gotcha.
as far as it's really up to the parents.
Gotcha, gotcha. And so, I guess the other question is, have you seen it bear fruit in some of the other things that you're trying to do? Because it seems to me that CLO, Children's Liturgy, the Word, is kind of a shallow point of entry for a
Sure.
lot of people. Because if they're coming to Mass every Sunday, maybe they're not as engaged with the parish, it seems like it can be an opportunity to engage them a little bit more. Have you seen some of that?
So the interesting trend that I've seen at a number of churches, that parents are more likely to commit to coming to faith formation than to bringing their children to Mass. So
Really?
I would say about 75% of our students do not go to mass every Sunday, but they're at class, which is interesting to me. So offering this CLO program and kind of selling it and advertising it to our students
Yeah.
lets parents know we want them both. We want them at mass and at faith formation, and that we are ready to receive them at mass. And we have
Yeah.
something for them so you can get something out of it too. So it's kind of like raising the bar and saying, we get it. It's tough, but we're here to help you and support you in making it to both, because we're providing programs to make it, fruitful for both you and your child.
Gotcha, gotcha. And I mean, I assume that, there's probably even on the kids' part a desire to go. I
Absolutely.
mean, that kind of pulling the parents to come or whatnot if it's actually something that they enjoy.
Absolutely. And a couple things that are key is having regular leaders. So for us, we choose 4 teams. So they go once a month. So
Okay.
they really get to know those 4 teams. It's not too many, but it's not that's too few that they don't recognize who's up there. And
Right.
so it's interesting for a child, the more kids that are up there, the more they want to come up. So
Okay.
there's always that quiet pause of
Who's coming up?
nobody's coming up. Let's get a feel for the crowd. And then once they start coming in, they just roll in.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's really the success of it is very much based on the community. So you want the
Yeah.
familiar faces, you want the leaders getting to know the students. The cool thing is now that we have socials on the weekends for our families, our CLO leaders are seeing the students at socials, and they become even more familiar, or they're
Right.
seeing them in faith formation,
Yeah.
or they're seeing them in different places, which is really cool.
Yeah, no, it's nice to have that where you've got all of these things that are working together to be able to support the family at the parish. And I guess I feel like, someone hearing this for the first time, and maybe they do have children's liturgy of the word. Maybe it's, once a month you go out, hear a little, read the gospel, hear a little bit from somebody, color something or do some sort of craft. And that's their children's liturgy of the word. And I mean, it's a good fact that they've got children's liturgy of the word or what have you. And so what you're saying might seem a bit overwhelming. I
Sure.
think to try to find the video clips and to, have the music and these sorts of things. Can you maybe detail for us, okay, what are some simple steps? And what we'll try to do is in the show notes have kind of some of the resources that you're talking about, which would be
Yes.
great to
Yeah.
provide people. But can you help maybe some of
Yes.
the steps that you went through to kind of get to the point where now you've got it at 3 masses, including on Saturday evening?
Right. So I would say it's 2 main things. The first thing we use is the Children's Celebrate by Flaum, and
Okay.
that takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. So all of our leaders get that book, and the great thing about that book is each lesson is 4 pages. The first 2 pages are for the leader to get a little background, feed themselves, understand what the readings are about, so they have that for themselves. The second page offers the homily. So the
Okay.
homily is already written for them, which makes it easy for me, but it also allows me to know that they're preaching the right message.
Right, right.
And so we use that as our meat. And so
Yeah.
I just take that out, and I have a just a Word doc that I plug in the gospel, I plug in where to get the homily, and that's pretty much it
Yeah.
once we're rolling. The other piece is technology, and that's the hurdle, because a lot of volunteers may have been around forever and don't want anything to do with computers.
Sure.
So what we did is on our teams, it's usually a tech-friendly person, oftentimes a teenager, and then someone who is comfortable giving the message. And so with that dynamic, we can hit both, so that there's a technology person that doesn't feel comfortable giving the message, and then there's a
Yeah.
person who doesn't like technology who can then give the message and kind of be the MC with the children. Um, so for me, it probably takes about 20 minutes prep now,
Yeah.
because I have my doc, I've got my Celebrate, I plug in the information now. I have my basic slideshow that I use. And so all I'm replacing is the video.
Okay.
And so I have this slideshow that says, "Welcome to Chloe." It has my introductory music that's the same every week for the season. I only
Okay.
change it up seasonally.
That's probably nice too. Do they do like the hand motions and
Yep.
stuff
So
like they do
it's
that
just like
with the?
it is Vacation Bible School music videos. So the
Gotcha.
words are on the screen. So they're learning the moves and the songs. So you don't want a different music every week. You want the
Yeah.
same one. So by the end of the season, they definitely know that all the moves and the words to that. So really, it's hopping on YouTube. I plug in the gospel story for kids, and I see what my options are. So
Okay.
most of the time, I can pick and choose from a couple 2-minute video clips from different publishers, and it's easy. And I know the ones I like, so I can recognize, oh, that's from them. I really like them. That's okay, because some weeks the gospel's hard.
Yeah.
So I'm digging. I'm digging. There's some weeks, not often, but there's some weeks that I do have to make a stretch of it
Yeah.
and be creative. But that doesn't happen often. But now it just flows. So really, it's training the volunteers. That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing, is so that they get comfortable with your style as well.
And how many volunteers do you usually have helping you with each mass, I guess?
So
would be
4 per mass. So 4
per
teams.
4
So
teams.
8 per mass per year.
Okay.
So and often parents come along.
Okay.
So you might have you and your assistant, but then, Susie's mom usually comes.
Okay.
And then, there's usually just naturally extra support there.
And you mentioned teens. Is like, do you find like who's your ideal volunteer for Chloe oftentimes? And this isn't to speak negatively about one kind of volunteer or another, but I just know sometimes for example, my experience, like if you're in some ways trying to minister to families, sometimes it's a little more challenging with like a parent or something like that, even though some parents might come along, so any thoughts about that, like who the ideal volunteers are?
Great. So usually the teachers are the easiest.
Okay.
But they're the most reluctant because they've just spent Monday through Friday with kids. So
but they're probably great at it.
But they're amazing at it. So you
Right.
can throw a lesson plan at them, and they're completely comfortable with grabbing the lesson plan, taking 20 kids, over to the room and rolling with it. So that's probably the easiest one, the one that's used to being in front of a classroom of children and rolling with it.
Okay.
And they're not afraid of technology. So that's like the easiest volunteer.
Gotcha. And I guess another question, one thing that I thought was really impressive, and this was when you all were first getting it going, was kind of the collaboration between the staff, and just to see kind of a recognition that this is going to help us all, essentially. Like, this is going to be a good thing for the whole parish. And so how did you kind of approach that, to say, how do we all come together on this to say that this is going to be a good thing for everybody?
Yes, right. So it's basically a win for everyone. So you're going to have a more engaged congregation because your parents can now pay attention instead of picking up Cheerios and all that stuff that we do, while the kids are in the pew with us. It's a win.
Yeah.
So, if you can have a more engaged congregation and the children are benefiting from a message that they can understand, then I think for the priests, they can engage in a deeper homily, not having to hit all ages, but knowing that, this is who I'm going after. For us now, we've gotten to the point where they're asking me to do Chloe for our holy days.
Really?
Yeah. So we're for All Saints Day. It's a Friday
which is
night
a great
this year.
day for
Awesome.
a Chloe. Yeah.
Right. So we're gonna try it on a Friday night, so parents can come, and it's almost like. You got to make sure they don't leave for like dinner or something.
Yeah.
You don't stay in the pew. You don't get to take go out for dinner or make it a date night. That's not a bad idea. Work on that. We might need to work up to that. Mass and dinner.
Yeah. And so I guess the other question, two constituencies. So if you are a DRE, perhaps a family minister at a parish, and you're trying to sell this idea to your pastor, and like your elevator pitch to your pastor, why it's a good idea to do what was it, Chloe Extreme?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what's your elevator pitch to your pastor?
Okay, so I would say a couple things. First, we're trying to encourage parents to come to church and to try to get them to understand how difficult just getting there is.
Yeah.
Not to mention getting through the first song, not to mention getting to the homily and not taking off, not to mention to make it to the end of Mass. It's a difficult challenge for families. So if they can understand how hard it is for families just to get there, then everything we can do to make that experience easier for parents is a win. And it tells them that we want you here, we're prepared to have you here, and that we love your kids and we want them to get just as much out of this Mass as you are. And so we're investing in you by investing in this program. And so this is our next generation, right? So that's evangelizing to say, we want you here so much that we're going to provide this for you.
Well, and honestly, I was going to ask, my next question was going to be, if you're a pastor watching this or listening to it, how would you encourage a reluctant DRE? But I feel like that both, says it to both the pastor and the DRE, I feel like, is just that this is really kind of setting the table or what have you for
Sunday has to be our priority. Doing the Sunday or Saturday Mass well has got to be done well.
Wonderful. We're great chatting with you today. I wanted to maybe we'll talk another time, because your Vacation Bible School is also
off the hook.
It is amazing. I will say, my children, full disclosure, my children have gone to the last 2 years. We have pictures of them with animals that they had at Vacation Bible School. So just doing some great stuff there at St. Joe's, and appreciate you taking the time to talk with us about it.
Minivans to Mass is hosted by Edward Herrera. To listen to more episodes and share your ideas about getting more minivans to Mass, visit www.archbald.org/minivans. Special thanks to Jay Lampart for the editing help, Jack Raybold for the animation in our video, and Catherine Amon for the artwork. This has been a production of the Archdiocese of Baltimore.